This is TWiT.
Apple empowers businesses to accept contactless payments through Tap to Pay on the iPhone. You now have an iPhone payment device.
Cash register in your hand, Leo.
That's pretty cool.
That's interesting. It really is, but before it's not simple person to person payment. It's not as though you could simply walk up to somebody and then exchange money just by doing a tap of devices. What they're doing is they're eliminating all of these like Stripe devices where
it is
a
Stripe
device plugged in.
Well, that's the funny thing. They're going to use Stripe as the back end. By the way, Stripe is a sponsor. So.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's broader than that. Basically, they're saying that approved transactors like Stripe can have access to just use the hardware that's directly from one iOS device to another iOS device. So they don't. So if you already have an account with Stripe and you just bump into somebody in the village who says, "Oh wow, that's right. Can you come by and and redo my deck? Got a couple broken steps. Oh great, just to hear. I'll go down to Home Depot. Just give me like $100 or whatever for lumber, and you can just do the payment like phone to phone right there." So they're encouraging this as a sort of a more casual business relationship. Again, not a personal person-to-person transfer stuff. It's not going to be like how Apple Pay or like how PayPal is sometimes used.
Yeah, they already have Apple Pay, so you can you can do that. I pay my hair cutter with the Apple Pay, and it's
like a farmer's market. Like you're there, you're selling your zucchinis,
Here's
your
the
tomatoes,
picture.
and you don't have a whole cash register. Yeah,
here's the picture at the farm. But see, this is what's cool, and I suspect that's who's going to use it is people who would be using Square or Stripe or some other. You know, if you have Square, you have to have an iPad, and there's a whole process, and they tap their watch.
Although now they just don't need the Square dongle. Like they could still use Square. Like it might benefit Square from not having to make all that hardware. They can just be the transaction processor.
Yeah. It does. Yeah. It doesn't require Stripe. Stripe's the first to say we're going to be supporting it. In fact, I think they're already taking signups for because it's not out yet, but it'll be out sometime.
Does this mean that Apple's going to magically start adding NFC to the future iPads? Because right now it's iPhone only.
Oh,
and I think a lot of people would love to have iPads.
What's interesting also to me is Apple could have done this at any time. I mean, the hardware was there, has been there for several generations, right?
Yes.
There was nothing stopping them from doing this.
Yeah, the hardware was there. Maybe just the infrastructure wasn't there. I mean, this isn't just like an iPhone to iPhone payment system. Like this is important enough to them that they actually have a news release on Newsroom. This isn't just something that you're just finding out as a part of a developer update. And part of the package that they're sending out is, hey, look, here's somebody at the farmer's market, like you said, with an actual just like tap to pay MasterCard, it's not just a phone to phone sort of thing. So I can't imagine what had to be done at the back end to make sure that this is actually going to work and that people are going to actually consider this to be trustworthy.
Is there that's the other question. Is there a security concern?
Well, not a concern, but they've baked it right into everything. So it transacts the same way that Apple Pay does. So through the secure element, and Apple doesn't get any access to any of your transactions.
Oh, that's interesting.
The other thing that's interesting to me is like the way that Apple's rolling this out.
It's not through Apple. It's through whoever the payment processor like Stripe that you're using. If it's also,
but it's
Apple
using the
says
hardware channel.
It works with Shopify's point of sale app as well. So Apple gets they don't get a cut and they don't get any visibility into it. That's interesting.
No, but I think that's calculated. I think that, in several jurisdictions, Apple is fighting over whether they have proprietary control over NFC. And that's something that some people are looking to regulate because you can't get like Samsung Pay on your iPhone. And a lot of developers didn't have access to NFC the way they do on Android. But also Apple has got Apple Cash and they've got Apple Pay in the US only. And this is US only as well. But having that sort of relationship, like Apple could do this themselves, but I think they're starting to be a little bit more tactical and strategic about how they see ownership of core technologies on iOS, and the financial one seems to be the one that they're doing that with first.
Very interesting. Once Tap to Pay iPhone becomes available, it says. So that's 15.2. What is it? 4?
Today's beta.
It's in today's beta.
Yeah, 0.2. Yeah.
Okay, good. Merchants will be able to unlock contactless payment acceptance through a supporting iOS app on an iPhone XS or later. So it really has been around. The capability, anyway, the hardware capability has been around for some time. At checkout, the merchant will simply prompt the customer to hold their iPhone or Apple Watch to pay with Apple Pay. Apple Pay's had a big boost from COVID, hasn't it? I use touchless now all the time. That's suddenly
in the US,
nobody wants in the U.S. Nobody wants money.
Yeah.
They say, "Don't touch me, man."
Yep.
Just go. And so I think
You've become Europe and Canada, Leo.
Do you not have it?
Exactly.
We've been like that for like 20 years.
Oh, I see.
Like, we've
with
been
your credit
contactless for
cards.
20 years, and so is Europe. Yeah.
With your credit
and with
cards.
Apple Pay. Like, I remember they had Singleton once, and I picked up a bunch of Apple people from the airport and brought them there, and I tapped to pay for gas on the way, and they're like, "What is that, Canadian magic?" Like, no, this is how the rest of the world
Canadian magic. That's what we call it.
And it's still weird because like you go to the US and you put out your credit card and they take it and they leave with it. And you're like, what is happening?
I know. I hate that.
Yeah.
Apple Pay, Apple says, is already accepted at more than 90% of U.S. retailers. That's incredible penetration.
Yeah, that's about contactless payments as a whole.
Usually you get Apple Pay and Android Pay. And,
you realize that the hysterically funny thing is that banks in the United States have always had have always been running the numbers and said that whatever fraud retailers suffer as a result of insecure mag swipes and just handing over the card, it costs us a lot less than actually having to update all the terminals, update all the software, also do all the retraining we need to do for all of our customers in order to make that work. And they've always been just simply willing to pay the fees. And also, I saw another report that said that they're actually making more money off of the fees that they were charging retailers to cover losses actually exceeded the amount of losses that they were suffering due to fraud. So there were a couple of reasons why there wasn't a whole lot of incentive for banks to switch all of their payment platforms over to contactless payments. But it's one of those things where I'm sure all of you had the same thing. Like the first time that oftentimes we got contactless payment devices before the people behind the registers did, and like you see the little symbol on the new kiosk on the new terminal that got installed on the Walgreens.
Yeah.
Like what did you just do? Like I just paid with my phone.
That's
how
Canadian
does that work?
Magic.
Yeah, exactly.
One of my best experiences was I walked into. I forget what it was. It was at the airport, and I went and I just tapped my watch, and they're like, "What is that?" And the thing went beep, and it worked. They said, "What is that?" I said, "I paid with my watch." And then the next time I came through, the same woman I was speaking to held up her watch with like this giant smile on her face.
Cute. Yeah, so I would guess by now everybody knows, and it's no longer magic. Canadian Magic will also work with credit cards, however. Apple says, tap to pay on iPhone, which I'm going to call TTPOI from now on. No, I'm not. I'm not. We'll work with contactless credit and debit cards, including Amex, Discover, MasterCard, and Visa. So is that, if I have a chipped card, is that contactless, or is there something special additional?
Yeah, well, I think it needs a little symbol, the little Wi-Fi symbol on it.
Oh, you need a Canadian Magic symbol?
Yes.
Now I have to
But I wonder if it'll work with Android devices that can project payments as though they're a credit card, because it sort of has to, right? I don't think there's any way that
Samsung, that's a Samsung thing where it acts like a mag stripe. Right?
No, this wouldn't be a mag reader, but it would be like acting like a credit card projector.
So Apple's own card does not have any magic symbols on it.
No, it doesn't have any symbols on it, Leo. It's an Apple card.
Do you think it would work? I love that sound.
Can you contactless pay with an Apple card? I don't know. They don't have that in Canada. See, it's really interesting that the U.S.
throwing
is
his
such a
credit cards
competitive
all over the
banking.
studio.
It's such a competitive banking environment that they can find banks and institutions that will do all of this with them, where other countries have oligopolies that they want nothing to do with Apple. They don't need premium cards. They don't feel like they have to offer us anything. So in most of the world, none of these things exist.
Look, this Amex card. You can't see the number.
Don't show the number.
You can't see the
Don't
number.
show the number.
No, go ahead, John. You can't see the number. I'm covering the only number you could see, but it has a little. It looks like a Wi-Fi thing. That's the. There it is. That's the touch to pay, huh? I'm covering up the only number that's on the front. Except the fact that I have been a customer since 1980, which just basically says this has.
And you're known as LG Laporte in some circles.
Might as well be 80 years. 1980.
Your first purchase was a Bay City Rollers album.
hey, do les rum. Hey,
is LG Laporte your author name?
I don't know why American Express decided to call me LG Laporte. I think that was a.
It's LG Laporte. He's visiting from the channels.
My Visa signature card does not have that, but my business card does, so that's good. So
all my cards have it.
Well, of course, because you have Canadian Magic on your side.
Magic, that's true.
We here in America do things the old-fashioned way. We got those things where you go, chick, chick, and they put the.
No, but you have these, like you have Apple Card, you have Apple Cash, you have all these things the rest of the world does not.
You don't have an Apple Card?
I'm not bitter.
You
No,
have
'cause we don't have a
you have
competitive
all of our
banking
truckers though, so it's okay.
No, we only have the Q. We only have the Q and the
cuckoo
supremacy truckers.
You got the cuckoo truckers. You can't
have them back.
You can't hear them all the way in Montreal, right?
You can have. They tried. They got confused by the lack of English road signs on their way.
Well, this is Francais. I'm LG Laporte of the Providence Laportes. That's right.
Providence.
Providence. The Newport Laportes.